Okay guys, hopefully I can get this video up in time, but today I have some preseason pickups for fantasy football. So I'm going to list two guys from every position that are owned in under 50% of leagues on ESPN standard scoring. And hopefully these guys can help you get a couple sleepers, a couple of them pan out, help you win your leagues this year. Preseason, hopefully I can get this up in time. Okay, so first off, let's start with quarterbacks. Oh, by the way, these are mine. Yeah, I literally wrote it on a piece of paper. Okay. First off, quarterbacks. So I don't know why this guy is owned in under 50% of leagues. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he had a phenomenal year last year. The guy was a top 11, 12 quarterback, leading the rather abysmal Buffalo Bills. And the guy put up great numbers. He has Stevie Johnson there. They still have C.J. Spiller and Fred Jackson, so they have an okay running game. Roscoe Parrish is still a great guy in the slot. The guy's going to put up good numbers, and they're going to be down a lot, so they're going to have to pass. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, if he's not owned in your league and you're in a deep league, maybe 2 QB or have an OP spot, pick up Ryan Fitzpatrick, excuse me. Also, a guy that I'm completely on the bandwagon this year is my big sleeper of the year is Colt McCoy. Didn't like this guy at Texas, don't like the University of Texas in general, but this guy with the Cleveland Browns put up some good numbers since being the starter last year. Gonna be, I think he's Josh Freeman light this year, where he's gonna put up some good numbers with his legs and he's still gonna pass. I mean, I'm gonna talk more about the Cleveland Browns later. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna talk. I originally talk about them soon, but I really like the options he has around him, and they like the Buffalo Bills. They're gonna be down a good amount. I mean, they're gonna be better this year. I actually think I have them doing better this year, which will come out in my AFC North predictions. Hopefully, I can get them out before the end of the day. But I like the Cleveland Browns this year. And originally, it's funny because as my running back sleeper, I had Montario Hardesty, but I decided to change it up. You'll see who that's going to be in about a second. But Colt McCoy, I think, can have a really good year. I think he could be a top 10 quarterback with the right situation. Now on to running back. I think a guy that was a huge sleeper for a lot of people last year is just completely fallen off the depth chart for many fantasy owners. It's Bernard Scott. People love this guy because of his Jamal Charles like running, where he's just a quick little speedster, and he's been completely forgotten about since last year. I really like Bernard Scott this year for the reason that look at the guy who's starting in front of him. Cedric Benson, he's just done. He's looked awful this preseason, and with that offense, they're gonna have to start looking forward to the future. They already have a rookie quarterback. Carson Palmer's gone. Dalton's gonna not be great. So once they realize once Marvin Smith realizes how bad Benson actually is, they'll take a look and put Scott in. I think he could be in there by at least week 6, week 7. And if you want to stash him on your bench in a deep league, or if Benson gets hurt, Bernard Scott is a fantastic pickup, and he's gonna be, I think, the LeGarrette Blount this year, where you pick him up midseason, he really helps you in your leagues. He was my original Ontario Hardesty, but now my other running back that I think can really help you guys is a guy that I'm probably going to have a little more piece about later, probably later this week, is Deji Kareem, the running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Guys, I'm really concerned about Maurice Jones-Drew's knee injury, and Deji Kareem is now second on the depth chart since Rashad Jennings out for the year. And I think that he can get some good goal line carries for the first couple weeks, Deji Kareem. And then once MJD goes down, not when, but if, I mean, not if, but when, excuse me, MJD goes down, Deji Kareem's going to really dominate that running game. That offense is going to be abysmal, and they're just going to have to keep running the ball. So, really like Deji Kareem this year. He could be a nice pickup early this week. He is playing the Tennessee Titans, so that's not a bad matchup in a deep league. Again, all of these guys are owned in under 50% of ESPN standard leagues, so if you're in a deep league, this is completely for you. Now let's move on back to the Cleveland Browns. Greg Little is a guy who looks a lot like Mike Williams of Tampa Bay. This guy is a dominant guy coming out of college, and he was still a 4th-round pick, but I mean, with who do they have ahead of him? Muhammad Massaquoi? Yeah, he's going to be okay. I think Greg Little and him have really developed a connection in the preseason, and I see Greg Little putting up maybe an 8 touchdown year this year. He could be a really good guy, and he's playing the Cincinnati Bengals this week, so pretty good matchup to start him against. Pick him up, stash him on your bench if you have to, but this guy's going to be a monster this year. The other wide receiver is close to Mike Williams of Tampa. It's Ben. I think that Tampa Bay is going to be passing a lot more this year, even with the development of LeGarrette Blount. Freeman's still going to be leading that offense. And there has to be another guy to step up. LeGarrette Blount doesn't catch much out of the backfield. They can't throw everything to Mike Williams. So I think Ben is going to be the guy to step up. He was their second-round draft pick 2 years ago, and I really think that this guy's going to have a good year. Now, tight end was a position that I was pretty sure about, didn't have to think about for very long. Jared Cook is going to be a monster this year. He is going to be an absolute beast. This guy turned it on late during the regular season last year since Kerry Collins became the starter, and now with Matt Hasselbeck. Not many people know this, but Matt Hasselbeck often uses the tight end. He has throughout his entire career, even with Seattle, that not many people knew it because Seattle often used 2 tight end sets. But Jared Cook looks exactly like Antonio Gates. He was a basketball player. He's like 6'6". The guy can absolutely bring in balls from the atmosphere. He's going to be a main target for Matt Hasselbeck, and besides Kenny Britt and Johnson out of the backfield, I think that Cook's going to be the main guy. He's owned, I think, 45% of leagues, so you better start picking him up, and he's playing the Jaguars this week, so it's a great matchup if you can get him in. The other guy is a guy that I'm not alone with as a sleeper, and it hurts me to say that I like him this year, but it just looks like he's going to start, and that's Lance Kendricks, the rookie for the St. Louis Rams. I mean, when you look at the situation, someone's going to have to develop in that St. Louis offense. Whether it be one of the 7 wide receivers they have, or Lance Kendricks himself, and I think it could be him. Bradford's going to need a security blanket, and Daniel Fells isn't that security blanket. He did look a lot for Michael Humanawi, the guy out of Hawaii, whatever his name was. And I actually liked Humanawi this year, but they drafted Lance Kendricks, and he looks like he's going to be the starter. So Kendricks looks like he's going to be the guy, and even though I want Humanawi to be the starter and be the fantasy relevant guy, it's going to be Kendricks this year, and he's owned in only like 25% of leagues, so you guys can pick him up. I don't suggest getting him this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. That defense is stacked with the acquisitions of Nnamdi and Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. I mean, their linebackers are still kind of weak, so if you're in a desperate spot, pick up Lance Kendricks, but probably want him for later in the year. Now let's move on to defense. Guess who we're going back to? Cleveland Browns. I don't know why I'm on the Browns bandwagon this year, but I think they're going to be all right. I think they're going to have a good year, and actually, coming up in my predictions, I see them going, where did I have them? I had them improving a couple games. I have them at 6-10 this year. I mean, I think they could reach 7-9, 8-8 if they really start putting it together. Maybe win a game against the Steelers or Ravens. This Browns defense was like 12th best in the NFL last year. They got no credit. They're a better fantasy defense than they are a real life defense. But I mean, that secondary is gonna be pretty good with Eric Wright and Joe Hayden and the guy they got from Cincinnati. I forgot his name, skipped my mind right now, but they're going to force a lot of interceptions, and they were huge on turnovers last year with Phil Taylor, and they drafted Phil Taylor to clog the middle. So that defense is going to be pretty good. Another fantasy defense that's not owned in many leagues is the Minnesota Vikings. Guys, they had one bad year. They were a top 5 fantasy defense drafted last year. They still have Jared Allen. They still have the big Williams boys in the center. They don't have Babin coming off the end anymore, but they still have Chad Greenway, who they just locked up for a big year. They also have, what's his face? Frick. The corner. His name slips my mind right now. Their main corner. But the Vikings defensive line is just fantastic. I mean, I gotta love Jared Allen. The guy's a physical specimen, and the fact that he has 69 as his number makes close to my heart. I mean, they were top 15 defense, or excuse me, top 5 defense drafted last year, and they're gonna be better than people think this year. So it's not a bad choice if you're looking for a late round flyer. If you guys are still drafting Minnesota Vikings defense, and finally, the least important position in fantasy this year, and that's why I'm only going to pick one guy, but it's the kicker. No one really cares about the kicker, but you know what? It's always nice to toss it a little tidbit here and there for help. And again, Vikings, Ryan Longwell. Guy was a top 5 kicker drafted last year. Didn't have a great year. As fantasy owners, we're so flip-floppy on one year to another, but I think this guy could be alright. Have a top 10 fantasy year from a kicker, which isn't hard to do. But I really believe in this guy. So if you're if you're deep leagues, pick up Fitzpatrick, Colt McCoy, Bernard Scott, Deji Kareem, Greg Little, Aurelius Ben, the Vikings defense, Browns defense, Jared Cook, Lance Kendricks, Ryan Longwell. And so that's my fantasy deep round sleepers this year. Pick them up. They're going to really help your teams. Good luck in your NFL season week 1. And so subscribe. Subscribe here. I can never really point. But yeah, Laugh Life Sports. My name is Evan Feldman, and I'll see you guys later in this week with the rest of my NFL predictions for the standings. See